Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for a new season of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 17, episode 1, and this is called A Warm Welcome. The way I've been waiting, I've been waiting for this new season of Atlanta because yeah, you already know how I feel about the other franchise. But Rhode Island has so far been so good. So we are continuing where we're leaving off. We're going to continue doing these reviews and go from there. But let's not waste any time because we got a lot to discuss. And we have a lot of ladies on this cast. So I am curious to see how it goes because there's a lot of ladies in the cast and a lot of full-time cast members. We actually still just have the one friend of, which is Cynthia Bailey. But Cynthia Bailey's kind of like an extended friend of because, she's OG. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the episode. So we start off the season with a little mini Housewives montage. We have Phaedra with her son, the 15-year-old. I forgot his name. But he is getting ready for homecoming. And so they're talking about that. And then from there, we have another montage of where we have, we have Kelly and her oldest daughter. They're getting ready to get her and send her off to college. And so that's happening there. But then the first official scene that we have, and for those who have been, waiting for the premiere like I have, you probably already saw the sneak preview. This where it kind of showed the first couple scenes. And we start off with Angela. And Angela is grilling on the grill, but that grill straight up looks like it's on fire, and she's burning the crap out of those burgers. But she's trying to lie to us and say that she's a cook. I'm like, girl, no. And so, Charles is there, and it is trying to be his best behavior. He does end up eating it, but he breaks the fourth wall immediately and shows what the burger looks like. They were well done. Like, to the point where he asked for some water. I was like, man, because I ain't gonna hold you, when he showed the hockey puck, because the daughter called it hockey puck. That burger looked really dry. It looked so dry. But anyway, we kind of just get caught up with her, and they're basically doing better than ever. She basically states that she's not going to let any rumors faze her and her husband because they're in a great place. And she basically, long story less long, is pretty much saying she's ready this season. She is ready to go. So it was a nice, cute, short little scene. And it was nice to see Angela welcome us back to the show because, yes, of course, she had her fan on her. And we had a couple other women with the fan, so hey, I get it. Anyway, so then after that, then we have our next scene where we have Portia, and Portia is meeting up with K. Michelle. K. Michelle, it looks like she's doing like a photo shoot of some sort, probably for her music. And this is where we get to know that Portia and K. Michelle, they have known each other for years, and Portia is the one who's introducing those who do not know who K. Michelle is to the show. I know who K. Michelle is because she's OG from Love and Hip Hop, and she was during that time of Love and Hip Hop when Love and Hip Hop was the must-see TV that it was. And she had this amazing hit where she got bags. Her husband's a girl. Da, 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 da. I forgot how something like this all over the world. But child, you already know. K. Michelle is just that girl, and we are seeing her, and I'm so glad to finally see her on the Housewives because I figured if anyone from Love and Hip Hop could make the transition from Atlanta Love and Hip Hop to Atlanta Housewives, it would be her. Anyway, we're finding out that she is promoting her country music. She's really trying to get things off and running with that, and they're kind of just getting caught up with that. And we also find out on the other side, because Portia and her are talking back and forth, Portia and K. Michelle, they're talking back and forth. We find out that Portia is officially finally divorced, and she did get the house. She pretty much got everything that she wanted out of that prenup. So long story less long, again, Portia basically scammed the scammer. And I ain't gonna hold you, I'm not mad at it. She scammed the scammer. And so, yeah, she has a house and she's planning on keeping the house. And we find that out. And we also find out that she is planning on having a get together to bring the ladies back and try to welcome people in. And of course, Kay Michelle's like, who all gonna be there? And so she kind of runs through everyone in the group that who's gonna be there. And then Kay Michelle, side note, Kay Michelle, a couple times this first scene, she also was breaking the fourth wall, just looking at the camera. It was kind of odd when she was doing it. When Charles was doing it, it made sense. But honestly, it's funny now looking back while I watched the rest of the episodes, like, oh, this is kind of, in a weird way, it's kind of foreshadowing. I'll get into it when it happens. But anyway, so she basically asks who's all gonna be there, and then she's like, "Oh, Shimi is gonna be there, your best friend." And Portia's like, "Yeah, my former best friend. We are not best friends anymore." And she kind of goes into like, I'm just trying to put the olive branch out there. We're probably never gonna be the same. That whole thing. And Kay Michelle's like, I'm looking forward to meeting the women here, but at the same time, I do have a chip on my shoulder related to Atlanta. Atlanta was basically a mean girl city for her. And those who are familiar with Kay Michelle and her story on Love and Hip Hop and how she ended up leaving Love and Hip Hop Atlanta because all the women on that show kind of did her dirty, including Rashida, which is why Rashida has that song that everyone still sings to this day. You understand why Kay Michelle feels a certain way. So I am hoping that this show is different from her for her, and she feels better about Atlanta this time around versus how things turned out with Love and Hip Hop. And even Portia tries to give her some encouraging words in reference to that. And that's kind of where we leave it. So yeah, welcome Kay Michelle to Bravo. Actually, she's already been around on Bravo because she was on Queen's Court, but officially a housewife now. Side note, I did not get a lot of sleep doing all these reviews. I actually ended up having to do this the next day, but hey, we're getting it done because I have to get back to work after this. It's 9 p.m. this time, so I am going to try to get some sleep and get caught up with the regular degular of it all, but neither here nor there. Anyway, but our next scene, though, that we have, though, is Shamia and Kelly. They are closer than ever, and I have a feeling I'm not going to like them two as a duel because Shamia already is giving cringe. Like this episode, Shamia was high-key giving cringe a lot of ways, but in other ways, Shamia and Kelly weren't wrong because the way Portia was having that party at that man's house, I cannot. But anyway, we find out that Kelly is still just kind of wheeling from, sending her daughter off to college. And so she is, kind of, feeling the effects of that. And Shamia basically is like, yeah, I'm getting her a care package together to send to your daughter. And the care package, she was putting all the adult stuff in there. She's like, hey, I'd rather we give her these things and her be responsible versus her doing these things and being irresponsible, aka the condoms of it all and the alcohol of it all. So I was like, okay, I guess. So she's like, yeah, Shamia's like, I'm being the auntie here. And Kelly's like, I hope you realize when Shiloh gets older, I'm getting you back for this. And then we also find out that Shamia has since opened, since the last we've seen her, she's opened a rum line in Grenada. So she's going there very regularly now. So maybe that'll be a trip that they do every season. Who knows? Or maybe they'll come back. I mean, I kind of do want to see them do another trip besides Grenada, but I will be honest, watching last season, them being in Grenada, it really made me want to go to Grenada myself and be part of the carnival because it looked amazing. But anyway, we find out though that Shamia was actually invited to this couples night, but she was invited via group chat. And so she's like, I'm not sure if I was supposed to be invited or not because basically Portia and her are still not really in a good foot. They're not really at, where they need to be. And in Shamia's confessional, she decides to mime how their conversation went. Cringe, but also kind of funny, but still very cringe. We also do find out that Portia's event is a couples event, so everyone's supposed to be bringing a plus one, and it's also supposed to be an all black affair, like all black, wear. And so Shamia asks like Gerald if he's going, and Gerald's like, we'll see. And so we kind of already know where this is going to go. The answer is going to be no, he's not going. But anyway, so that's kind of where we leave it there. And then we kind of get right into it and go into Portia's event, actually. I will say that this first episode went by really quickly, but I think it went by very quickly because there's so many girls and we didn't really have that many individual scenes this episode. But it's going to be hard to get a lot of individual scenes in this season because there are so many women on this cast now. But hey, I'm not mad at it. Anyway, so basically Portia's party starts. And oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. This party is happening at Simon's house. Well, it's now Portia's house, but Portia won the house in the divorce. And so it's comical that she's literally having a date night situation that she's going to basically have a whole entire another man at this house when Simon barely left this house. I'm just like, Portia, girl, Thotlania. She's Thotlania. Anyway, so the women are all showing up one by one. Drew's actually there on time, so we don't have that yet this season. And Drew basically just has his man on this phone. Well, both her and so basically, wait, sorry. Let me go back. So Cynthia arrives kind of first, and she actually has like a doll of her man, and then she does FaceTime her man to say hi to everyone, but she lets him go. Drew, on the other hand, she one ups and she has her friend, I'm using air quotes, Black, the guy that she was rumored to be dating. And child is giving she's actually is dating that man, but she can't really be saying that she's dating him because she's still going through the divorce. We find out. So that man, Ralph, is still in her basement. But anyway, so Black is like on this FaceTime, and I'm every the producers this episode, I'll be honest, they were so shady and I loved it because why did this man, it looked like it wasn't a real video. It looked like an AI video. I was like, is this man even real? I'm like, Drew, leave us alone. Leave us alone. But Drew was looking cute this episode. I will say Drew has been glowing up and Drew has really came her own this season and she was kind of cracking me up. Like, I would say this episode, between Drew and K. Michelle, I was cackling. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't with either of you. But anyway, so then the women all do eventually sit down and we basically kind of get into, so Phaedra shows up, but Phaedra says she's pretty much good with all the women minus Angela because we know they still have that residual issue from the reunion and what happened towards the end of last season. Mainly Phaedra having the issue with Angela, not so much Angela on the other side of things. And then also next, and K. Michelle shows up. K. Michelle did not get the memo and was not wearing all black, but she still looked pretty nonetheless. And she arrives with her husband. And for those who have seen K. Michelle in other reality shows, they were on Marriage Boot Camp on WeTV before. So I've seen him before, and so I'm aware he's not new to reality TV, put it this way. And then also too, K. Michelle does share in her confessional that, when she was doing Queen's Court, she was on break with him. Because they basically have known each other since middle school and they've been on and off. So it sounds like he's a Memphis man too. Because for those who don't know, K. Michelle is originally from Memphis, Tennessee. So that's her accent. Anyway, so so they're there together, and then Portia is there with her date, and everyone is just cackling because they're just like, Portia already has a whole entire another man at Simon's house, basically. And so that's kind of funny, and we're yeah. But it's Portia. So like if anyone was going to do this type of a thing, it would definitely be Portia. So it's not that surprising. So yeah. Anyway, um, what else is happening here? So then also too, while this is happening at the party, we go back to Shamia's house, and Pinky Cole, we get to meet Pinky Cole, the next another new addition to the show, and she shows up with her husband, and they're shot o'clocking it, and side and Shamia literally has a poster board saying "shot o'clock." I'm like, girl. With Shamia, there's just things with her that I'm just like, it's giving Arrested Development. I don't get it. But anyway, so they're doing the shots of it all, and then we're on our way, and then we learn more about Pinky Cole. In this scene, we find out, she's the owner of Slutty Vegan, which is a vegan empire spot that's in Atlanta. I know right now, fast forward for those who've been following news, is not doing as good as it was, but back when I was in Atlanta, I would say in 2022, that was the place to go. Like, it still was doing pretty decently. Well, not decently, but that's not even a word, but it was doing all right when I was there. Anyway, so she is the owner of that. So that's who she is. And then also we meet her husband. We also get to learn more about her husband too, later on the couples night. But Pinky seems like she's going to be a great addition to the show. So anyway, so then from there, Kelly shows up at not at Shamia's, but at Portia's, and this is where K Michelle started this. She basically is like, everybody know Trey. All of Atlanta know Trey. I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, the streets know Trey. And I was like, see, K Michelle, this is what be getting you in trouble. You be talking too much. So as she was saying that, then and she was, the thing is, what was funny about this is K Michelle was doing this throughout the whole entire time. But guess who she was doing this with? Charles Oakley. So her and Charles Oakley are just getting a good kiki and just jonesing on the others and just being a troll towards the others. And she, in the confessional, she's like, Charles is an asshole. But you know what? That's my kind of people. I was like, oh my God. They were cracking me up. And so it was like, it was just funny to see that kind of came full circle within the same episode. The two most unserious, fourth wall breaking people at the very beginning of the episode are the two that are having the kiki and just talking a whole bunch of mess about the others. And it was just cracking me up. I was like, I cannot. I was dying. Anyway. And so basically, Portia. So we meet Portia's man. I'm air quoting Portia's man because, child, it seems like she's kind of just dating in general. And everyone's just trying to figure out how did they meet. And the guy is like God. They met through God. And then later they actually do try to explain what the timeline was given, and the math was not mathing, and Angela was like, this math is so not mathing, and the others are just like, yeah, the overlapping is overlapping. And I think it was Kelly, she's like, does she know that she was married? I mean, she was in the whole entire relationship during the pandemic, and because she basically said they met during the pandemic, and it's just like, but it's Portia. Why is anyone surprised? No one really is, but Anyway, then Pinky and Shamia finally arrive. And as they're arriving, Charles like, not them showing up 8 hours later. And of course he's not saying that to no one but K Michelle, and she's cracking up. And that was funny to me. But anyway, Portia then, says she's glad that Shamia came. They have their moment. Shamia was being weird the whole entire time while she was there and just kind of having a stank attitude, which is part of the reason why Shamia rubs a lot of people the wrong way, because she just doesn't, she's emotionally mature, I feel like, in a lot of ways. But anyway, what was called out that I wasn't even paying attention to, that Phaedra mentioned was like, oh, looks like Shamia got her a mommy makeover. And she definitely looks like she is snatched up and girl is looking good. Um, Now, Phaedra mentioned that in the confessional. So there's that. But anyway, from there, we end up getting more acquainted with Pinky. And Pinky is saying hi to everyone because Pinky doesn't really know everyone. And I don't, and Pinky, apparently Pinky and Kelly have met before, and Kelly feels a way about Pinky because I guess Pinky left her in red when Kelly was trying to get some advice on, having a restaurant. And so we'll see if that amounts to anything during the season or not. Probably but we'll see because Kelly in her confessional says she's not girl's girl. But then we also find out though that Pinky is really good friends with K Michelle because they're actually lying sisters because they're both deltas. And then Phaedra and Pinky seem like they get along pretty well too. So it's not. I'm not really sure what that's giving, but we'll see on what we end up having here. And then, so as this is happening, Kay shares some of her thoughts on the ladies, and Kay immediately we're seeing that Kay is probably going to bump heads slightly with Drew because she's just like, I just cannot figure Drew out because the fact that again, this party, at this point, I think this party's been going on for like 3 hours now. And this man has been on the phone the whole entire time on FaceTime and he hasn't moved. And even Phaedra mentioned it in the in the confessional. She's like, does he have a bag on him? Like, how does he have a catheter like attached to him? How is he still just sitting here the whole time? So yeah, we kind of had a little bit of that. And then so from there, Portia's like, let's play a game. And so they started, Portia started asking the ladies questions. And I think she asked Angela and Charles first on who made the first move when they got into it. And at first it was a very mutual, like sexy answer. But then of course Charles did what Charles does and was trolling Angela. And it wasn't, I feel like this season, I don't think we're going to get Charles the way he was last season, where it kind of came off almost team too much with how he was approaching it. I think now he's going to do it in a way where it still is him, because that is him being that way is slightly entertaining, but I think he's going to be a little bit more mindful and make it where it's not as mean spirited, because sometimes it came across mean spirited. Anyway, so then after that, then I think the next question came up where it's like, who is the best at making an excuse to get into a fight for a great makeup sex? And K Michelle's husband chimes in, is like, oh, definitely K Michelle. And then from there, then the next thing was, I think they went to who has basically did some sexual activity in public. And we find out that Pinky and her husband did this when they were looking at a property in Birmingham, Alabama, and then they end up buying the property. And then she also shares like, well, you don't get 3 kids in a row without, for nothing. So I guess all their kids are back to back to back. I was like, all right, seems like they're pretty healthy. And then Pinky in her confessional, she's like, I'm vegan, I'm clean, I'm natural. The only meat that I've been eating is my man's. I'm like, all right. Okay then. Did not need to know all that. And then I think the next question was to Shamia about if you could change anything when it comes to your man, would you change it all? And then of course Shamia's like, no, I wouldn't change anything about Gerald. I love him. And then out of nowhere, Drew's like, where is he? But she didn't ask it in a shady way, but you knew she was kind of being shady. And Shamia put 20 on 10 and kind of got such an attitude about it. And Drew was like, girl, I was just asking the question. I was just wondering where he's at. Is he traveling? She's like, yeah, he's traveling. Where's your man at? Like, she just was so defensive. And I was like, Shamia, this is why you're cringe. Like, girl, it's you knew what Drew was trying to do. And your response and the way you responded could have changed everything, but you responded the way you did because she knew that you would respond that way. And anyway, so then basically we get a little bit of a tip and tat a little bit for a second, but then Cynthia in the confessional, she's like, I don't know why she even asked him that because you already knew she was going to do that. And like kind of adding to the same effects, like she shouldn't have even asked. But then from there, Portia and her man decide they're going to talk. And because they basically, I think the question came up about when has the last time they did anything like sexual. And apparently it's been over a year or something like that. I forgot how long it's been, but it's been a while, 6 months or something like that. They're like, oh, okay. And so they end up pretending that they're getting married. Again, there's an altar, like literally, it looks like a marriage altar right behind them. Oh, and by the way, K. Michelle made a comment about this lady. This lady was wearing all white. I think she was a white lady wearing all white with this white wig on. I don't know what they had going on, but I was just kind of cracking up. But apparently, this man was pretending to be proposing to her, and then the shady producers have a ghost of Simon just go behind them. And then all the women was just like, not you about to do this in this man's house. That's what's like, to me, the fact that she was doing all this at this man's house that she just barely got, like basically got ownership of. I cannot. So then anyway, then the guys and women separate. The guys go to like, I guess, smoke some cigars while the women go and talk. And basically, they're trying to clear the air of where everyone's at. Shamia and Portia's trying to basically are acting like they're in a good space when they're really not. But then Shamia has all this energy towards Drew, which again is really odd and weird. It still is weird. This started last season. It's still totally a thing. And Drew's like, I have no problem with you. I don't even know why you're acting like this. And then Portia's like, well, and you know, Shamia's defense, she did apologize to all of us. And then why does she have to say this? Because the way Drew is in her confessional and is doing her version of Shamia's cringy apology, I was done. I was like, girl, get off my screen, Drew. Get off my screen. And so then from there, Shamia is still just kind of being just unreasonable towards Drew. And it's like, Drew really did nothing to you. You picked on her and you didn't like that she basically met you where you were at and actually made you look stupid. Anyway, so then Drew, Shamia tries to then bring Angela into it and saying, well, you know, you did all this and like you basically are two-faced when it comes to like you're not believing Angela's receipts. And I love that Angela and Drew are still in one accord. They're like, we've had this conversation already before. Like, so I don't even know what you're trying to do here, but it's not really working. And so what Shamia tried to do yet again, it felt extremely flat. And Phaedra, but that did bring Phaedra into the conversation. And Phaedra and Angela still are not really in the best place. And Angela was like, well, one thing I do know is that your friend did approach me at the Atlanta Hawks game and said what she said. And then Phaedra was like, well, I got the tape. Come to find out, in this confessional, she does not have the tape. I was like, and as the producers are asking the question, Phaedra's like, I could tell you're lying because when you're replying, you stutter, 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 stutter. Just saying, she was stuttering. And at this point, with all this back and forth, by the way, K. Michelle's ready to go home. So Kay actually, instead of going home though, she does actually end up going where the men are at in the cigar area. And Angela actually went right after her and she was like, yeah, I'm going to go where you're at too. And then from there, we have Shamia still there on the couch with Portia. And here goes Kelly interjecting into their relationship and And it's just aggravating Portia. Portia's like, you're not trying to fix it. You're trying to start something. Just leave it alone. And Portia basically gives her nothing, pays her dust. And then after that, all the women do eventually end up going where the men are at outside. And then not Portia's man making this speech as if this is his house. I was like, I cannot. But Portia's like, you know what? I think I did a great job. I wasn't ratchet. I was on my best behavior. That's for later. And that is where the first episode of Atlanta ended. I want to know what you guys' thoughts were. I definitely enjoyed it, and I've been waiting for some time for the new season of Atlanta because I just needed something on my screen that just was not as stale as Beverly Hills. And this is nice and fresh. It's new. I'm looking forward to meeting and get to knowing more about Pinky Cole. I also want to learn more about what's going on with K. Michelle these days because it's been some time since she's been on our screen. And yeah, but enough about what I think. I would like to know what you guys think in the comments. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.